Hi, child artists.
Today I'm going to read a story and then we're going to do an art project where we're going to think of things to represent ourselves. The story I'm reading today is Something Good by Robert Munsch, illustrated by Michael Martchenko. Robert Munsch says that he wrote this story about his own family. So this is supposed to be him. Inside we'll see a picture of his wife, and then their three children are also in the story: Andrew, Kaya, and Julie. Kaya was shopping with her dad and her brother and her sister. She pushed the cart up the aisle and down the aisle, up the aisle and down the aisle, up the aisle and down the aisle. Taya said, "Sometimes my father doesn't buy good food. He gets bread, eggs, milk, cheese, spinach, nothing any good. He doesn't buy ice cream, ginger ale, cakes." So there's what her father thinks is good food. And what Taya and her brother and sister thinks are good food are totally different. So Kaya got her own cart and she quietly snuck away from her father and she pushed it over to the ice cream, and then she put 100 boxes of ice cream in her cart. Taya pushed the cart up right next to her dad and said, "Daddy, look." Her dad turned around and yelled, "Yikes!" Taya said, "Daddy, good food." "Oh no," said her father, "this is sugary junk. It will rot your teeth. It will lower your IQ. Put it all back." So Taya put the 100 boxes of ice cream back, and she meant to go right back to her dad. But on the way, she passed the candy. She put 300 chocolate bars in her cart. Taya pushed the cart up to her dad and said, "Daddy, look." And her father turned around and he said, "Yikes!" Taya said, "Daddy, good food." Oh no," said her father. "This is sugary junk. Put it all back." So Taya put it back, all the chocolate bars. And then her father said, "Okay, Taya, I have had it. You stand here and don't move." Taya knew that she was in big trouble, so she stood right there and didn't move. Some friends came by and said hello. Taya didn't move. A man came over and ran over her toe with his cart, and Taya didn't move. A lady who worked at the store came by and looked at Taya. She looked her over from the top down and from the bottom up. She knocked Taya on the head, and Taya still didn't move. The lady said, "This is the nicest doll I have ever seen. It looks almost real." And she put a price tag on Taya's nose. It said $29.95. And then she picked Taya up and put her on the shelf with the other dolls. A man came along and he looked at Taya. He said, "This is the nicest doll I have ever seen. I'm going to buy this doll for my son." He picked up Taya by the hair and Taya yelled very loudly, "Stop!" And the man screamed, "Ah, it's alive!" And he ran away down the aisle and knocked over a pile of 500 apples. A lady came along and looked at Taya and she said, "That is the nicest doll I have ever seen. I think I'll buy this doll for my daughter." And she picked up Taya by the ear And Taya screamed as loud as she could, "Stop!" And the lady screamed, "Ah, it's alive!" And she ran down the aisle and knocked out over a display with 500 oranges. Then Taya's dad came looking for his daughter. He said, "Taya, Taya, Taya, where are you? Taya, what are you doing on that shelf?" And Taya said, "It's all your fault. You told me not to move, and people are trying to buy me." "Oh, now, come on," said her father. "I won't let anyone buy you." He gave Taya a big kiss and a long hug, and then they went to pay for all the food. The man at the cash register looked at Taya and then said, "Hey, mister, you can't take that kid out of the store. You have to pay for her. It says so right on her nose, $29.95. Wait, said the father. "This is my own kid. I don't have to pay for my own kid." And the man said, "If it has a price tag, you have to pay for it." "I won't pay," said the father. "Well, you've got to," said the man. And the father said, "No." And the man said, "Yes." And the father yelled, "No." And the man yelled, "Yes." And then the father and Andrew and Julie all yelled, "No." And then Taya quietly said, "Daddy, don't you think that I'm worth $29.95? Yeah, well, of course you're worth $29.95, said the father. He reached into his wallet and got out the money and paid the man, and then he took the price tag off Taya's nose. Taya gave her father a big kiss, mwah, and a big hug. And then she said, "Daddy, you finally bought something good after all." And her father picked up Taya and gave her a long, long, long hug, and he didn't say anything at all. The end. Ooh, I see that he did buy them some sugary cereal for fun. So today, I thought that we would make a flag that represents us. And so I got together some various art materials. You can use whatever's available to you. And think about how you want to represent yourself and the things you care about a lot. One thing to think about is, what shape do you want your flag to be? Not all shapes are rectangles. Some countries have triangle shapes, triangle-shaped flags. And it's interesting to think about, like, your border doesn't have to be straight lines. It could have like serrated triangles or a scalloped edge. You think, what color do you want to use for the background and for the other colors? A lot of countries have flag colors that represent something important to them, like yellow for the sun, or green for the green land that grows things at their country, colors that stand for peace or for the struggle that they've had to gain their independence. So think about the colors that might be meaningful to you with your flag. So I started with a piece of paper. I decided to do rectangle. That's not the paper. I decided to do rectangle, and I'm reusing some paper that already had writing on the other side. I got together some ribbon, some yarn, some markers and crayons, a pair of scissors, and some glue. Things that I wanted for mine. And I thought about things that were important to me. I decided to make mine a rectangle with divided into 4 quarters, sort of like a shield almost. And then I decided I would put something important to me in each section of the flag. Now I chose gold for the trim because it's very glitzy and glitters like the sun. And I chose brown because that's the other kind of ribbon I had. Up in the top quadrant, I put a picture of my family because they're very important to me and I love them. Over here, I did a book, and I decided to be honest because it's almost any book. I will read almost any book. Then I started just sketching in what I wanted to put in the other two sections, and thought I might put my dog and a picture of a bicycle because I really love riding my bicycle and it's so good for me. So I just started on these, and I'll finish it on a little bit later. So thinking about how are you going to represent yourself, and how can you show it? And one of the reasons I went for this size and not a bigger size is I thought, well, wouldn't it be cool to do one flag a year or every couple of years and make a book of them so that you could sort of see where you were at each part of your life. Do good art and share it with us.